And if you watch my videos, you know that I do expense tracking every single week. Actually enjoy spending time with them so I could pour more into them. And I'm getting emotional right now. This is our grateful budget. This is me just trying to keep things simple, but again, keep it encouraging. Hey legacy builders, welcome back to Mind Your Money. In this video, I'm going to talk about our December budget. We're going to wrap up everything. We're going to talk about the goals that we set. We're going to review the budget itself, and I'm going to talk about how I feel about the results. And then we're going to get into our January budget setup. So we're pressing reset on our budget so we can get started. Grab yourself a cup of coffee, get yourself settled in a nice comfy chair, and let's review our budget together. Okay, so I revisited everything that we did for the month of December, checking the goals we set, checking to see what the budget was like, what happened with the budget, and then did some reflecting before. So I took notes, I wrote them down, and then I sat down and I wrote out my January budget based on the annual budget that I did a few weeks ago. And I wanted to make sure that our numbers were making sense, and I wanted to revisit how I felt and what was coming up and what we want to accomplish in 2023. And of course that starts fresh in January, because I want to make sure that the budget that we put in place actually reflects the goals that we set. Because why would I just put a whole bunch of money, let's say, into investing if I really want to build our emergency fund? And the reason is because we want to take advantage of the down market. We want to make sure we're building for a strong financial future, and that's really good. But the immediate need is to have that emergency fund fully funded. Second cup of coffee for the day. All right, let's get away from this noisy area and talk about our reset, what we did for December, and what we plan to do for January. I'm going to review our December budget results, our goals, and then also talk about our goals for January, our budget for January, and our intentions for January. Let's get into it. For this part of our December wrap up or our January budget reset, we need to talk about the goals that we set. My top three was my husband's birthday. So hubby's birthday was in December, and I did not really plan for it the way I should have. So I overspent a lot, and I spent $200 for some cologne for him because I know he likes to really smell good, and I love it when he smells good. So I wanted to buy him something of value that he could still use. So I bought him some cologne that cost $200. I didn't plan for that. Even though I knew that his birthday was a priority, it was my top three, in the top three of my priorities for the month, I still didn't put the money in place to make sure that I wasn't overspending. Now, when I say overspend, I mean that I didn't include the savings in my November budget, so by December I could be ready. What I did was I pulled from our family savings, and it's good to have a savings for when things like this pop up, but it doesn't really feel good because it wasn't specific. And then when we take from our savings, it's kind of like robbing from our future, which is how I saw it. Even though I want to celebrate him, we want to do something nice for people, but if we don't plan for it in our budget, it kind of gives me a little bit of anxiety, and I don't want that. And I feel like with how I felt going into December, I wanted to focus on wisdom and using wisdom when it comes to managing the budget, creating the budget, setting goals. And I don't think I was as wise here. I did celebrate his birthday, but we did overspend, which is why I said all of what I just said, because I feel like going forward, I want to make sure that our gifts fund has enough money in it so that when we're ready to buy a gift or go out to dinner or go out to eat, that we have the money available. The second top of my top three was to pay all the bills on the credit card. I did that also. I wanted to make sure that we take advantage of the rewards for the cash back, and then also make sure we're managing good credit, because every time we use the card, we want to make sure we pay that down quickly because it helps our credit, right? I want to make this as simple and as easy as possible. So we did pay all of the bills on the credit card. However, we did have some Christmas spending that went over and above what we had planned. So we didn't overdraft any accounts. It just means that we had to pull money from other places in our budget. And I feel like I can make this easier on myself by setting a number, being intentional about creating a holiday budget, Christmas budget, birthday budget, and then sticking to that. Because when I have to sit down and start brainstorming and start asking God, okay, where am I going to get this money from? I spent over $200 here, and then I spent another $175 here. What do I do? Well, what I'm getting is you need to have an actual budget. And I've been watching other people in the personal finance space talk about their Christmas budgets and how they spent their money and how they saved for it. I want to do better with that too. We did overspend for Christmas, and I want to make sure that next year we don't do that, that we actually have an amount that we stick to, and I create a budget that looks well. You can see on the screen, this is my Christmas budget for 2023. I've already started pre-planning so that I can be ahead of the game and ready for next year. All right. And because my husband's birthday and Christmas are so close, I want to make sure I have a separate budget for his birthday and then a budget for Christmas, so we don't go over like we did this year. Save for purpose funds was my third top three, and we saved $120, so yay for that. I didn't have a set amount. I just figured I really need to start getting money in there, especially because our renter's insurance was due, and that is one of the funds that we have, and I wanted to make sure that that was taken care of before the payment hit the account. So that was December. I also wanted to set up our annual budget, the projections and goals. I did that. So if you have not seen that video, I'll link it in the cards, and then I'll put it also in the description box. So if you want to check it out and see how we projected for the whole year, you can do that. All right. So wisdom is the principal thing was my focus for the month of December. I love this December calendar that I created. I felt like it came out so well. For me, it was simple but nice, and it's nice to have something pretty to look at when doing my budget. I feel like this is one of the things that I do every single month that encourages me to stay on task, and it really did help me. So I'm just grateful that it turned out well. Now, our monthly budget for December, we planned for an income of $5,700. And the actual income was $5,585, and you can see the math. That's about $115 or so less than what we budgeted, which is not too bad. The income for my husband, we used $3,400 of his incoming income, again because it was Christmas, so we used less of it because he had gifts that he wanted to send and other things that he was doing. For side income, we planned for $700, but we wanted $185, or we used $185 because we did actually get more. But again, I had to do some finagling behind the scenes because we were overspending a lot. For bonus income, we did not have a plan for bonus income. We planned to use $1,000 of rollover, but we didn't use the rollover. We just paid whatever bills we had to from the rollover that we didn't use it within the budget. So we used $2,000 from my husband's bonus to include in our budget because we wanted to send some money to our bills account. That was really, really important to us. So our monthly bills. Now we planned to pay our rent of $1,400, of course, but we didn't actually use the money from our incoming income. We used money that was already saved in November to pay November's rent. So even though we paid $1,400, it didn't come from this budget exactly. So I hope that makes sense how I'm saying it and you can still follow along. Geico is for our car insurance. YMCA is for our family gym membership. So combined, we paid $168 for that. For our electricity bill with PSEG, that came under budget by about $3.66, something like that. So we were under about $4 for that, 46, 44. Allstate, we had 2 life policies. We paid $68.38 for those 2 life policies. Metro PCS was under budget. Yes, it was $127.27. I didn't ask them why, I just paid the bill. So I'm grateful that it was less than what we had planned. Spectrum came in at $74.99. I'm still going to budget $80 for this going forward, only because I don't know what other shenanigans they're going to come up with. But I'd rather be over budgeted or come under budget than to like not have enough. They're throwing toys outside. National Grid came in at $142.75. That was a little bit higher because we use our credit card and they charge a fee, but we earned almost the same amount back from the cash reward, so that it was okay for me. We broke even basically. $60 was our special offering for first fruit. So our bills totaled $687.83. Again, not including the rent, because we didn't pay our December rent from our December income that we used. We paid our December rent from our November income because it was already in our bills account. So for savings, next month's bills, we saved $2,802. Again, really grateful for that bonus that we were able to use a part of. Investing was $200. The emergency fund, we put $100. So we were under budget there. I budgeted to put $125 because I figured $25 a paycheck. However, in the last paycheck of the month, the 5th paycheck, I decided to pay back the credit card again because of that overspending. Had we not used the 5th paycheck to put another $365 towards our credit card, we would have had that money to put into the emergency fund. So I have to shift my focus a little bit going into January. Even though I'm planning to invest some of the money, I think I'm going to reallocate that to the emergency fund so we can get to our goal faster. We really have to accelerate our savings rate for the emergency fund. Purpose funds, we planned on $200, but we saved $120. I still gave myself a check mark for this, even though I wanted to save $200. Again, that golden paycheck would have helped us to reach our goal, but we decided not to do that because we had to pay back the credit card. I did not want to go into January with a credit card balance. Our family savings, we saved $37.20, and that $37.20 was basically wherever we were like under budget for our utilities. Again, so that helped us save a little bit towards that, which is something we didn't budget for when we set up our December budget, but it's good to have a little bit something go into that family savings again, because it's been almost a year since we were able to do that. Then, so our total for monthly savings was $3,259.20. Then miscellaneous. For cash spending, we did pull out $550. For our tithing and giving, we gave $353, which is less than what we budgeted, but that's fine too. Groceries, we did put aside $320 instead of $400. So again, we did have some spending on the credit card. So basically all the money that we saved in our account cushion paid back the credit card for whatever groceries we did buy. And we have such a good stock right now in our pantry and in our freezer. We don't need to buy a lot of groceries each week. So meal planning, buying in bulk when we can, taking advantage of sales, and just using what we have at home. Like when we buy stuff, we have to actually eat it. That's basically how we're keeping our groceries really low, because sometimes you just have to do that. Next month's bills, I had an extra plan for the month, but obviously I didn't need to fill it in here because we already saved $2,802 for next month's bills. So our miscellaneous category came up to $1,223. And then when I added up the totals for our bills, our savings, and miscellaneous, we ended up with a remaining balance of $414.97. I was like, where did that money go? And more than likely, most of that money went to paying back the credit card, because we did have to do that. And again, in that 5th paycheck, it was $365. And even if you subtract that from the $414, there's still a few dollars left over. We did have some additional income that came in that we didn't budget with, because I always like to leave something, even if it's $10, back in our operating account. So there's always some money in there. So that was fine for me. With the budget check, The bills came to $687. That was 12.3% of our monthly used income. Savings was $3,259.20. That was 58% of our income, which was great. And then miscellaneous was $1,223. That was 21.9 or 22% of our income that we used, which I thought was still amazing. And I flipped through all of the budget by paychecks just to get a sense of how we ended the year. We did put extra money in our zero out challenge. Every single week I tracked the money, I tracked the savings. I'm grateful that we zeroed out our credit card balance at the end of December, just before crossing over, because we needed to. I tracked all of our expenses like I normally do, and I do have to track how much we have in our savings funds or our purpose funds. We call them purpose funds, but I will do that and share that with as a members only video. So again, if you would like to join the membership, if you feel like it's something where you could get some added value from my channel, then you can sign up for the membership. Let's get really close and very, very detailed, because I'm only going to share that going forward for members. So that's it, just that. And wisdom is the principal thing. I do have some funds that I want to invest in going forward, and some stocks I wanted to buy, so I wrote some notes there to give me a reminder. So going into January, I know there are some shares, there's some funds, and there's some individual stocks, some companies that I want to start tracking and seeing how they're performing, and seeing if it's something that my husband and I would want to invest in, or I would want to invest in on my own, because my husband and I both have our own separate taxable brokerages, and then we have some together, like our retirement and all of that. So that's it for December. I feel like December was very spendy. I could definitely be more focused on events that come up that will cause us to spend more money. Again, I wanted to really bless my son's teachers. Even though I didn't give gifts to all of them, I wanted to make sure that there was something that we gave them to let them know we appreciate them. So I really need to prepare ahead of time, so next year when this time comes again, I don't overspend and we have the money available already. So we're not dipping into other categories. What helps me is to have separate categories for each thing. So if we have a category for gifts, then everything outside of Christmas is going to come from that. And then when that's for birthdays, anniversaries, anything that is a special event where we want to give something is going to come from there. And I need to make sure that we build that up so that when it comes to the end of the year, between Thanksgiving and New Year's Eve, we're not like pulling from our wellness fund to pay for gifts. And then when it comes to like birthdays, again, for my husband, because his birthday is in December, we know it's closer to Christmas, but I don't want to pull from Christmas to pay for his birthday, even though that's fine for some people. But I really want to be a better example to our children, to say, look, if you don't have it here, then you really can't get it. And it doesn't mean that you should deprive yourself all the time. It just means you want to be a little more careful. Like, I know you want to have fun, I know you want to do these things, but don't do it to your detriment. Do it where it feels good, it feels exciting, and you don't have anxiety about it. Like, if there's something that needs to be spent, I don't want to feel anxious about it. I don't want to feel nervous or upset or scared. If I know that if I do this, I'm going to start feeling down, it's going to affect my mood, which ultimately can cause me to overspend more, because I'm trying to self-medicate by spending more, buying more things. And that doesn't help. That actually makes the budget worse. It overdraws from what you wanted to do. And it kind of makes me feel like a failure. And I don't want that feeling of failure. I want the feeling of we're crushing our goals and we're doing the right thing by our money. So I need to make sure that there's money in each category, and whatever is there, that's what we're spending. And I don't want to be guilted into buying something or giving something, because that's not how it works. Giving is supposed to be from the heart. It's supposed to be from a loving place, from a selfless place. It is not supposed to be from a place of guilt or shame. Mommy. So that is it for December. Those are the goals. That's my recap. That's how I felt about what we did in December. And I am looking forward to a really healthy January. I'm really planning to make the budget recess very smooth, very intimate, making some coffee or a fancy drink and sitting down and really getting into the numbers, really get into the feeling, right? The emotion behind what we're doing with our money, and making sure that we're sticking to our goals, because I need to make sure we stick to our goals, because I need to make sure that when we say, oh, that emergency fund is going to be built up to 20K, like, we need to have a space in that budget to make it happen. And if you watch my videos, you know that I do expense tracking every single week. So I have this expense tracker in this book here. I do have a new one that's coming out soon. So it'll have the new annual budget workbook will have more tracker pages, but I will track expenses here from the operating account, and I will probably separate this into weeks. So you'll see me like draw a line and say, okay, in week 1 we transferred X amount to all of the places where we send money, and then I'll use this second one hopefully just to track credit card expenses so that we don't lose track of how much we're charging, and I'll be more diligent as to make sure the categories are accurate, because I don't want to use our credit card for anything other than from our purpose funds or our regular bills or groceries. And if there's anything miscellaneous that starts to happen here, I'm going to have to do a reset, and I'm going to share it with you guys because I want to be careful that we're not spending money that we shouldn't be. Okay, we have 3 goals that I'd like to reach in the month, and the first thing I want to do is to be faithful and diligent. Okay, so I'm going to write that: be faithful and diligent. Okay, and 2 savings categories that I want to focus on the most is our emergency fund and next month's bills, because both of those areas need our attention. I want us to get further ahead, and I also want us to reach that 20K goal. Okay, and then the third one is to enjoy every moment I can with my children. This is extremely important to me because I realize that a lot of time we get caught up in, I feel like, the discipline of the child, because my children are in school. One started high school, so that's a whole different dynamic. And then my 2 smaller ones just started regular school this year for the first time. So there are a lot of transitions, and I felt like I was getting lost with them because I'm building this business. My husband and I are dealing with certain things with our other business, and it just felt like I was forgetting to actually enjoy spending time with them so I could pour more into them. And I'm getting emotional right now, but I know this is important. Sitting down with them one day, with the 2 younger ones especially, and we just talked and we colored and they drew pictures, and I got to listen to them. And I really want to intentionally and intensely listen to how they feel so I can help guide them as they grow and get older. So I just want to spend more time with them and enjoy each moment and be more intentional about my prayers and how I speak to them and listening to them. And remembering to reset at the end of the month, of course, because we are talking about finances, but that's a personal goal that I think is going to be affected by how we save for them and what activities we do in the month. All right, so those are our top 3. And you probably have already seen my January calendar. I'm regretting using these, not because I don't like them, but because it's kind of hard for them to stay on the page, at least right here, I guess because of the way the book folds. But I wanted to keep track of all of the bills, and I think it looks nice. I just want to be able to track the bills that we have due, although I'm going to pay most of them by the credit card early in the month so we can see how much rewards we get, because that is also a part of any additional income that we'll get. And January is a 4-pay month. It starts on the 1st and ends on the 28th for me. Hey legacy builders, welcome back to Mind Your Money. So I'm going to set up our monthly budget for January, and I'm going to use a couple of stickers from this gratitude sticker book. from the Happy Planner. I just really love the colors and the simplicity of it. I don't know if it's aesthetically pleasing, especially since I have a yellow highlight here, but it will be encouraging. So let's just say that. So I'm going to use this sticker that says it's the season of gratitude, because it truly is a season of gratitude. And if you are anything like me, when you go through a tough season, it's easy to get caught up in, oh, this is happening to me and this is really bad and I feel terrible, and complaining about the situation. But then at some point, God just says, you have plenty to be grateful for. And that's what's happening to me. And so I am just going to remind myself that I am grateful. So this is our grateful budget. This is me just trying to keep things simple, but again, keep it encouraging, because we talk about minding our money over here. So this is a part of my December budget reset, or our January budget setup. I'm doing things a little bit different, but I hope that you can follow along with me. I basically have already pre-planned all of our monthly budgets for the entire year, just like I've done in previous years. So I'm going to zoom you in, and we're going to talk about the income first. And let me actually break this down, because $1,000 of this income is going to be expected to be side, and $3,200 is the minimum from my husband's income that we're going to use, and that is the total $4,200. Trying to make this as neat as I can. Let's move on. $4,200 is the income. Now on to our monthly bills. These are the things that have a fixed due date that we are going to pay in the month, and I'm going to remind myself of what they are by using my bill tracker for 2023. So the first thing that we have is, of course, the rent, and rent is $1,400. Geico, and also I'm going to write this on the same line because I know YMCA is a new bill. So YMCA is $98. Geico is budgeted at $70, I believe. Yes. So $168 is the budgeted amount. We always round up just to make sure we can satisfy all of the bills that we have. PSEG, that's our electricity provider, and the budget for that is $50. After that, we're going to budget for Spectrum, and Spectrum is our internet provider, is just strictly Wi-Fi. That's $80. Also, we have our first fruit. This is not a bill. This is just something that we give as a special offering. We do love to give, and it's a foundational principle for us. So first fruit is getting $60. 2 Allstate policies. I'm just going to write Allstate all together. So it's $69 is our budgeted amount. And then we have Metro PCS, which is our cell phone provider. And we budgeted $135 for that. It might be less, which would be really good, but again, I like to round a little bit up just in case things go up or if we're short in another area. And then we have National Grid. National Grid, we're budgeting for $141. In total, so that's $2,103. That's it for the bills. And then we're going to move on to our monthly savings. Now, monthly savings is anything related to investing, saving for the future, or even short-term savings like our purpose fund. That does include our next month's bills, okay? So I'm going to start there. Next month's bills, we budgeted to set aside $537 in the month of January. Our next savings would be our purpose funds. We are saving $200, at least that's the plan. So this is an example of all the purpose funds that we have: back to school, Christmas, clothing, gifts, wellness, renters insurance, PC and life, vehicle insurance, vehicle fund, which is now transportation, Amazon, Costco, next month's bills with an asterisk actually, vacay, home, and 40th birthday. So purpose funds will get $200, and then we're going to move on to investing. Investing is $180, and that's everything for retirement or just to build up our taxable brokerages. We're not focused on this as much because we're still building the emergency fund. And the emergency fund is expected to get a minimum of $100. Now, again, we're going into 2023. We do have an understanding of what the climate is expected to be like based on, what we hear on the news on CNBC and different personal finance space talking about this inflation and recession. So we're only looking at the minimum here. And again, I might decide to change this if my husband agrees so that we can just put a little bit more towards the emergency fund from our family budget. So I think that's everything for saving. Next month's bills, purpose funds, investments, and emergency fund. That's $537 plus $200 plus $180 plus $100. That's $1,017 for the month. Okay, now miscellaneous, for me, that's everything else that doesn't fit within a savings category and it's not necessarily a bill. So this is all the variable spending, variable costs of things. Groceries or food. Groceries, eating out, basically our Friday night pizza will come from here. And we're budgeting a minimum of $320. We are getting assistance with food, so if you think that's too low, yeah, it's a bit low, but we also have cash spending and we are getting assistance with food. We're moving on to our next variable or miscellaneous expense, and that will be cash spending. I like to pull out cash to give a little bit to our boys, a little to me, and then we do some savings challenges with the rest. And that is going to be $440 or $110 per week. And then we have our tithe, which is not the last thing, but it is our giving. So it's not a bill and it's something we do regularly. We're budgeting to at least be able to give $320 in the month. So our total for miscellaneous is $320 plus $440 plus $320, which is $1,080. So now we're going to calculate to see if we have a zero-based budget or not. And we should. So $2,103 for bills, $1,017 for savings, and $1,080 for miscellaneous. That's $4,200 minus the budgeted income. We get $0. So we have $0 remaining to budget with. And now we can do our budget check. Our planned income total $4,200. Bills $2,103. Savings $1,017. Miscellaneous $1,080. And that is again a zero-based budget. So that is what our January budget looks like. It's the season of gratitude. I'm really excited to be entering into a new year, a new month. And if you think about it, I believe we're also entering into a new week because Sunday, January 1st is the start of a brand new week because I track from Sunday to Saturday. So it feels like it's new all around and there's so much to be grateful for. So that is how I reset our budget to January. I love hitting the reset button and getting a fresh start and a fresh outlook to our budget. Let me know if you do too. Continue to mind your money, manage it well, and live your lives abundantly. Thanks for being here. Bye for now.